Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks. And today I have a creator who's come up with a pretty interesting concept. The name of his work is called Wrath, issue number 1, and he's actually going to be running his Kickstarter again pretty soon. So sit back and relax. Let me bring to you the creator of Wrath. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you, Scott, for coming on to the show, man. I know we talked a little bit in the past. I say that with all of my guests. It's kind of hard to remember each and every one of you guys before the show actually goes live. So forgive me if I make any mistakes right off the bat. All right.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, you're a busy guy. You do this for us, so we appreciate what you do.
Thank you, man. So tell us a little bit about your book Wrath and how you came up with the idea and what's plans going forward.
Sure. So Wrath is actually the story of a young man and his best friend. He had a traumatic childhood,
Okay.
and he had an abusive father. His mom was strong and smart enough to get him away from that. And then after moving, he met his friend Nicole, he's basically been inseparable with ever since. Um, so fast forward to they're in their late teens, early 20s. Um, he still kind of has that, emotional trauma that he's carried with him since he was little. It's never been addressed. He's never really confronted it, so to speak. It's just been kind of festering.
Cool, cool. Kind of like that pinned up aggression kind of idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So something happens on his way home after Nicole brings up his past, and he just kind of gets dismissive and goes home, and then you get some more current trauma. So you kind of have like the seed, then you have the catalyst. He goes home that night, and then he basically manifests this latent ability he's had that he can take all that pent up anger, regret, resentment, and manifest it into a physical form.
Okay.
And since he's asleep, happens, it kind of goes out and seeks some revenge on the people that hurt him recently.
Man, that's absolutely terrifying. Like, what if you didn't know you made this kid mad, but he kind of took it the wrong way?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of, he's like a very mild mannered kid. So, like part of the story is kind of him piecing together that night's events through, like evidence from, what happens. I don't want to give out too much of the story, but, and then he kind of comes to realize, like, he could seriously hurt or kill somebody, like just unintentionally, like you're saying.
Hmm.
And so a lot of the story is him kind of coming to terms with that and dealing with the responsibility of what's happening to him.
Got you. Now this kid, is he like a special kind of human being? Is he like some type of extraterrestrial demon? Like, what is he, or is he just somebody that just has this ability?
That's not something we're gonna get to right away in the story. It's gonna kind of unfold as we go along. So it's not gonna be very apparent. Part of the story is them with their limited means trying to figure this thing out.
Okay, so what's the main plot going on with this story? I mean, he has this latent ability to where he can manifest. I'm assuming like a creature or something that can go out and take revenge on people who have done him wrong. What is the story plot behind that? Like, you have a concept, so now what are you trying to play it into?
Right. So the idea is um, is we can't always control things that happen to us,
Mm-hmm.
but they all kind of leave the mark on us, and we, even though we don't choose how we get these marks, we can make the decisions on how they affect our futures.
Gotcha.
And that an ongoing theme with Wrath. There are going to be some confrontations with. He's not the only one with this power,
Mm-hmm.
so there is going to be some conflict and some other side of the coin where he's, a generally good person trying to, do the right thing. There are people out there with nefarious intent.
So it's kind of like a protagonist. You got an antagonist somewhere out there.
Yeah,
Okay, cool, cool, cool. I like it. So I was able to pull up some artwork. If you don't mind me sharing it, that okay? That
yeah,
okay?
no problem.
I like sharing people's artwork. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep. So this is actually my artist Drew.
Okay,
She did all the artwork here. So this was the variant cover that we were offering on our Kickstarter. Um,
cool.
Unfortunately, we didn't meet our goal, but we're planning to relaunch here in a few months.
Are you gonna relaunch on Indiegogo or are you gonna keep it with Kickstarter or both?
I think I'm gonna go Indiegogo this time. I kind of like some of the features there, like the ability to extend and some of the other features.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, those are pretty cool. I like the in-demand feature that Indiegogo has. If people miss your Kickstarter, you can kind of leave it up. I mean, your campaign, you can leave it up, and people can actually go and buy it as though buying something else offline, like from Amazon and stuff. So that's a pretty
Right.
cool feature and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really good too if because we're not going to be at full production when we finish the Kickstarter. So as we're going through and making the rest of the book, then other people can jump on board, like you said.
Okay. So you were saying, I'm assuming this is Doug right here, right?
Yep.
You were
And then
saying, go ahead.
that's his best friend Nicole.
Okay. Do they ever get like together later on, somewhat?
That's a big spoiler. I can't give that away right now.
Okay. So you're saying that Doug's latent ability, this creature that manifests when he falls asleep, um, does the memories from that creature, does it like act as though he maybe thought that he was dreaming or anything like that? Or
Exactly.
okay.
Um, those are some of the clues that he gets the next morning, and he starts piecing it together.
It's kind of like the whole like werewolf thing. You get a lot of people who think they're werewolves, right? And
Yeah.
they turn into werewolves but can't remember, and they wake up and their feet are dirty or they got blood on their hands and they thought they're
Yeah,
sleepwalking and stuff
a
like
little
that.
bit like that, and he originally confides in Nicole, and
Okay,
so she starts putting all this stuff that he's thrown out together, and she considers that as a possibility, but rules it out.
got you. Damn, I had a question right on the tip of my tongue. It just went away. It will come back. So I'm digging out like some of the artwork here. This is pretty cool. Now, can you kind of go into the idea of what this thing actually is? Is it like a spirit? Is it a ghost? Is it an actual physical manifestation of this kid's anger or what?
Yeah, so it is like a physical manifestation. Like it's definitely like tangible. You can touch it. It can you know bite, claw, manipulate objects. So this is actually like a subconscious form. It's kind of taking on a familiar form since
Hmm.
he's asleep. So that's why it's kind of like this wolf type creature. Um, it's something that's tied to his childhood.
So,
It's also very convenient because it's goes out and tracks some people down. So it's kind of got like some scent abilities and stuff.
so its full form isn't a wolf.
Correct. Like when he's going to learn to bring the creature out, so to speak, himself, it's gonna take on more of like a humanoid form. Like the brain's kind of lazy, so like
Uh-huh.
it's gonna take a shape that's more easy to manipulate and move.
Got you. Okay. So what kind of the question came back into my head. What kind of gave you the idea to come up with this concept and story?
Like the original idea, like the spark, so to speak, was after I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, and I was going for one of my walks, and I was pondering like all this stuff that happens to me in my sleep that was not aware of. Like my body's basically like torturing and killing itself slowly.
Cool.
So I was pondering that, and then I was like, what if like my emotions got away from me when I was sleeping? And so that's kind of where the idea of the creature we affectionately call it the rage puppy essentially came from.
Rage puppy. I like it.
But yeah, I was basically thinking like if my emotion, like if I got really mad one night and went to bed and then like went out and like you said, went after someone that made me mad that day,
Mhm.
what would the consequences be and stuff like that.
You
So
know,
that's
go ahead, finish up.
that. Yeah, so that was just basically the original spark, and then I just kind of developed and molded it into the story that I have now.
Cool, cool. You know, I've been like looking into dreams. I've actually come up with a few stories myself that would involve dreams. Like, um, I know me and my wife, we were talking one day, and I had this really weird dream that like I was on another planet. But when I woke up, I was back here. But remember everything that went on there, and I was in a different form. It was humanoid, just not human, you know. And I was thinking to myself, like, what if, right, when we sleep, a body somewhere else wakes up, and when that body goes to sleep, we wake up here. Kind of like the whole Avatar thing. That was that movie. I always thought about that. Like that would be a really good idea to kind of muster up. So I went ahead and had it copyrighted so no one can steal it. So
It's a little similar, but it's all here on Earth. So
yeah, right. Is there any science behind it, like the idea behind like maybe out of body experiences or like
yeah. So when they're kind of researching like what it could be, because Nicole doesn't really believe him, she's kind of just humoring him.
mm-hmm.
Like let's do a séance. So they kind of look into like astral projection as a way of kind of like pulling this thing out.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no real like science behind what it is, and you'd have
I
to
mean,
kind of
like
get
when I
captured and put into a lab for us to really find out like
I
what
mean,
it
like
is.
when I meant science, I mean like research into like how dreams might work, or if somebody were to write like a sci-fi thing, and they would look into
Yeah.
like how to travel across stars and physics and how space works and stuff like that. Did you do any kind of like that research to
Oh
kind of
yeah.
help build the
Yeah, I did.
concept?
I did some basic research on like astral projection techniques and like spirits and stuff like that. There's actually I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but in Japan they've actually got spirits that are based off of anger or ill will that go and like haunt people.
Yeah, like I know one if I want to say like a Kyubi, which is basically like a
Yeah, I think
nine tails. There's like
that's what it was.
There's like one that's good, and then there's one that's like really bad that you shouldn't mess with. I think they call it the bad one, a kitsune or something like that. My Japanese folklore is like not all there, but they have some pretty insane, crazy stuff. Like after watching The Ring, I was like, I'm not going to Japan. They got these things in a house. Like that's stupid. Not messing with that. So yeah, no, I like this little creature thing right here. It has like little glowing eyes and stuff like that. A little terrifying to say the least. Like if I saw that coming at me like in a dark alley, I don't know. I'd probably shit myself. To be honest. Like
But Drew, if you go back real quick, she pointed out that she kind of gave it some humanoid features. Like if you look at the front paws,
yeah, they kind of look like
um,
hands right here.
yeah, they're more hand-like instead of like an animal paw. Um,
Okay.
so there is some. It does have some humanoid features, and we haven't done the final form for when Doug actually takes control. But we're thinking that we might have some animalistic features to that one.
Got you. It kind of reminds me of like the Avatar world where they have spirits that kind of look like this, where they have like glowing features and stuff like that. So I do like the design. The design on here is pretty dope. I can get it. I can get behind.
Yeah, I also really like the pattern. I wanted something unique for like its skin patterning.
Yeah,
And Drew, I think, really did a good job too, because like it almost looks like scar tissue,
yeah.
which kind of goes along with the theme of what it is.
Well, I almost thought like maybe like these were glowing lines right here, like that matches eyes. Like, they glow the same color to kind of give it that eerie kind of feel. But then when I look down here,
That
it's kind of like different.
Yeah, a little bit. And the whole comic is grayscale except the creature. The creature is going to be the only thing in color.
Oh, wow. Now that's unique. I've never seen that before. Wow, that'll make it really pop. That's cool.
Yeah, that's part of the idea, is to kind of give it a more supernatural feel to it. And also we kind of wanted to go with the grayscale because I wanted to have kind of like a manga type thing
Yeah.
going.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the art style.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was actually the publisher that gave me the idea I'm with Wicked Publishing, so when we were kind of talking about the original ideas for Wrath, I was back and forth between if I wanted to do grayscale or color,
Yeah.
because there's certain things that I want to do with the creatures that are only going to work with color, and one of them's like, well, why don't you just do the whole thing grayscale and then just the creatures in color? And I'm like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it also saves time too on color. I mean, you
Yeah.
wouldn't believe how much time I put into just coloring pages, not drawing, not writing, just coloring and making sure I get the shades and the depth right and color palettes. Oh, it's a lot of work, man. No joke. No joke. All right, real quick, you said your Kickstarter was not a success, right? You're planning on running it again later on in the future, in like a few
Right.
months, maybe?
Correct. So what we want to do, because we didn't have a lot, pretty much what you saw there is what we had going into it.
Yeah.
Um, so we want to get some more pages done, and we want to try and shrink that goal down, because I was asking for 5,300.
Mm-hmm.
We want to try and get something closer to what we gathered here, which was 1,700,
Okay.
to try and make that goal reachable and get it done the next time.
Okay.
Because I think part of it is getting a book into readers' hands and building that fan base that's going to propel the project forward.
Yeah.
Because this is it's an ambitious project. I was looking at doing 6 chapters, and doing like a trade paperback at the end that was going to be like, I think it was like 250 pages.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could dig it. I know that most people, whenever they fail a campaign, they just kind of give up. So I commend you for going at it again and trying. I ask this at the end of every show. If someone's running a campaign or an Indiegogo, what would they do different? So if you want and get some advice, my past interviews have other artists who just completely annihilated campaigns like this, and they can give you pointers on what you could do to actually make it better. So with that being said, you said you were going to get more artwork in there, try to get a little bit more stuff done. What other things are you planning on doing differently the next time as opposed to what you did this time?
So I'm gonna keep campaigning, like doing more interviews like this, even though we're not in a active um, campaign right now. Keep going out there with posts, updates, as we get the more work done, what we're doing. Try and keep because we got some good feedback. That's part of why we're still going.
Cool.
Um,
That's
like
always good.
people still really want this to happen. So to keep them active and sharing. Um, so we got to keep the iron hot, so to speak.
Exactly. Yep. Keep it
And
moving.
I've gotten a lot of good feedback, and one of them is, what held I think a lot of people back was the lack of sequential pages. Like they want to see some actual story unfold, and that makes a lot of sense. So that's one of the big focuses we're going with as we move forward.
Hmm. And if you may, can I make a suggestion on what you can also add to your next campaign?
Hmm.
Everyone that I've ever talked to about running campaigns said the best thing you want to do when people first get to your page is have a video. Okay.
Yeah, and that's something I want to work on. It's not a big expertise of mine,
Uh-huh.
but it's something that I got to figure out and get on that Indiegogo page. Hold
Yeah,
on 1 second.
no problem.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Um, think about the videos that you don't want to make it too long. I would suggest maybe about 2.5, 3 minutes at most. But the key to making a great video is to not talk about yourself, right? You're not selling yourself, you're selling the story here. So make it all about the story, make it kind of, in this case, I would put like maybe a few pages in here, do like some voiceover maybe to kind of read off some of the pages with some kind of weird, eerie music, and then hook, line, and sinker show this badass beast right here just kind of popping out. That's just what I would do because it would get me like, oh, wow, what is this little spectral creature? I need to know more about it. That's just
Yeah.
my 2 cents, kind of think of it as like a movie trailer, right? Don't give away too lot. You don't want to give away too little, but just enough to pique the interest of people who are watching what you got going on there.
Yeah, that was something someone pointed out too. Was like, do the video or at least a better image instead of just the logo that grabs
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, the logo looks pretty dope though. Who did that? Was that your artist as well?
No, that was actually the artist for Wicked, Matthew. He goes by Sulos on Twitter.
Or Ouroboros? Is that him?
Um,
Ouroboros Moon? I think I had him on the
no,
show
no,
before.
no, that's not. That's someone with the Mythics.
Ah, okay, okay. Okay, cool.
But
Well,
it's Wicked Publishing. It's Michael and Matt. He's the
oh,
artist that did Project R. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
no, no, no. I'm still new to this whole interviewing game, so I haven't I've interviewed maybe 15 people, but I mean, my following is still kind of slowly growing, but I am getting a lot more traction, so I might run into them more likely sooner rather than later. I know for sure.
Yeah, they're trying to do the interview game too. So if, I know you've got a comic that you've been kind of working on, so you can definitely hit them up if you're out promoting it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start my pre-launch pretty soon, but I wasn't supposed to say that, so no one heard that at all. So,
Nobody.
all right, Scott. Well, thank you for coming on the show, man. I mean, what you got here looks pretty cool. I can't wait to get into it. And whenever your second campaign starts running on Indiegogo, let me know, man, because I would love to give you a little something to see what you got going on there.
Yeah, definitely. And you can, once I got it up and going, if there's any more feedback, you can shoot it my way. I'd love it. Love to hear, how I
For
can
sure.
improve.
For sure, man. And go back on my past videos and check out some of my artists that I've interviewed before. One of them is Von Klaus. He was the creator of Monster MD, and he literally, I think he's at about a few hours left, and he's crushed like nearly 30 grand on this campaign. Insane, just
Oh yeah,
crazy.
he hit 10,000 like in 5 days.
Yeah, dude, he absolutely crushed it. Another one would be Caius by Ryan Cardinal. He's the one that gave me the video idea on how to execute that, and I think he doesn't have much of a following. Like on Twitter, he have like maybe 300, maybe 500 plus followers, but it crushed it in like 3 days. So
Yeah, he was actually in the same what was that? There was an article I was in there with Morgan's Organs,
mhm.
Kayas, and Earthworm Jim.
Yeah. That Kayath, Ryan Cardinal really just completely decimated that whole entire campaign, like insane. So I mean, there's people out there who can like help and point you in the right direction. So yeah, if you want to share some of your pre-launch or with a pre-launch idea, like throw them on Twitter, tag me, and I'll give you some feedback. And I'm sure everybody else can give you feedback too. No problem.
Appreciate that.
No problem. All right, Scott. It was real great talking to you. Like I said, keep me posted on when you run that second campaign, so I can just blast it out to all my followers, and we can get you funded and
All right, man.
going. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, Scott. You have a great night, and I'll see you on Twitter.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
And that's all the time we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Indie Choice Picks. I'll be taking a week off to celebrate the 4th of July with my family, so I won't be back until the second week of July with more creators and more interviews to do. So if you guys like this interview, please like the video and share it. If you're new to the channel, well, guess what? Welcome to the channel. I embrace all new followers with welcome arms, all right? If you're an indie creator and you want to get on the show, all you got to do is reach out to me on Twitter at heroic_studios or on Instagram at will@heroicstudios, all right? That's all the time we have for today, and I hope to see you guys in about a week. Happy 4th of July and enjoy yourselves, everyone. Bye-bye.